Welcome to our video on Pentax K-1 review. The Pentax K-1 has an excellent collection of features that will appeal to serious photographers, and it feels good in your hand. It makes a great choice for landscape and still life photographers, but sports shooters should look elsewhere for a fast AF system. 4. Full-frame 36MP sensor. Impressive feature set. Competitive price. Against. Slow auto-focusing system. Menus look dated. Loose mic port cover could compromise weatherproofing. Key specifications. Pentax K-1 camera. 36.4MP CMOS sensor with no AA filter, but with an AA filter simulation effect to eliminate noir. ISO sensitivity up to 204,800. 5-axis in-camera shake reduction, offering up to 5 stops of compensation. Pixel shifting technology that shifts the sensor to create high-resolution images, complete with motion correction. Continuous shooting of up to 4.4 FPS, 17-shot RAW buffer, in full-frame mode, or up to 6.5 FPS, 50-shot RAW buffer, in APS-C mode. Dual SD slots. 33 AF points, 25 cross-type, sensitive to EV-3, including an LED AF assist lamp. 100% coverage viewfinder with 0.70x magnification. Illuminated controls and lens mount. A 3.2-inch LCD display that can be tilted along multiple axes, 44 degrees down, 90 degrees up, 35 degrees left and right. Weather and dust resistance. Built-in GPS and electronic compass. Astro tracer function that shifts the sensor to follow the motion of stars, enabling blur-free long exposures. Pentax DFA 15 to 30mm f/2.8 ed STMWR lens. f/2.8-22 aperture range. ed, extra low dispersion, glass elements. Super Protect and HD multi-layer coatings. Supersonic direct drive AF motor and quick shift focus. Minimum focus distance, 11 in. Weather resistant. 9-blade rounded diaphragm. Integrated hood. Pentax DFA 28 to 105mm f/3.5-5.6 ed DCWR lens. f/3.5-5.6 to f/2232 aperture range. ed glass elements. Super Protect and HD multi-layer coatings. Supersonic direct drive AF motor and quick shift focus. Minimum focus distance, 1.64 feet. Weather resistant. 9-blade rounded diaphragm. Pentax DFA * 70 to 200mm f/2.8 ed DCL lens. f/2.8-22 aperture range. ed glass elements. HD, SP, and Aero bright coatings. Direct current AF motor and quick shift focus. Minimum focus distance, 3.94 feet. Focal range limiter. Weather resistant. Detachable, rotatable tripod collar with click-and-place positioning. 9-blade rounded diaphragm. Performance. We've been impressed with the quality of images from Pentax's recent SLRs, which strike a good balance between detail and noise visibility, and on the whole the K-1 maintains that standard. Low to medium sensitivity images have lots of detail, with fine textured noise building up towards the higher ISO values. The results at ISO 6400 are very good, with lots of detail and little noise. Detail levels start to slide at around ISO 25/600, but the images are still decent. Even the results at ISO 102/400 and ISO 204/800 are okay, but they look more like the results of expansion settings than native values. At a relatively small size on screen, some darker areas are badly smudged, and elements in the JPEGs have a slight diffuse glow. Step down to ISO 51/200/25/600, and there's a marked improvement. Images look pretty good at A3 size, with just a fine texture of luminance noise visible in RAW and JPEG files. Lab test, resolution. We chose 3 rival cameras for the Pentax K-1 to see how it measured up in our lab tests: the Sony Alpha 7R, the Nikon D810 and the Canon EOS 5D Mk3. We've carried out lab tests on the Pentax K-1 across its full ISO range for resolution, noise, including signal-to-noise ratio, and dynamic range. We test the JPEGs shot by the camera, but we also check the performance with RAW files. Most enthusiasts and pros prefer to shoot RAW, and the results can often be quite different.
JPEG resolution analysis. There was a clear difference between the K1's JPEG and RAW file results in our lab testing. This was far less apparent with real-world images, but the JPEGs are a little softer. The K1's results lag behind those of the competition, including the Canon 5D Mk3, which has a lower pixel count. RAW, converted to TIFF, resolution analysis. The K1's RAW files, after conversion to TIFF, compare much more favorably with the competition than the JPEGs, matching or beating the 36MP Sony A7R at most sensitivity settings. As ISO values rise, though, it can't maintain detail levels quite as well as the Nikon D810.
Lab test, dynamic range. Dynamic range is a measure of the range of tones the sensor can capture. Cameras with low dynamic range will often show blown highlights or blocked-in shadows. This test is carried out in controlled conditions using DxO hardware and analysis tools. JPEG dynamic range analysis. At the lower sensitivity values, the K1 produces JPEGs with unusually high dynamic range. RAW, converted to TIFF, dynamic range analysis. Pentax manages to eke out a little more dynamic range from the K1's RAW files, indicating that they have an even broader range of tones than the impressive JPEGs and should stand up well to post-capture contrast adjustment.
Lab test, signal-to-noise ratio. This is a test of the camera's noise levels. The higher the signal-to-noise ratio, the greater the difference in strength between the real image data and random background noise, so the cleaner the image will look. The higher the signal-to-noise ratio, the better. JPEG signal-to-noise ratio analysis. The K1 produces an impressive set of figures for a 36MP camera, and is only beaten by the lower resolution Canon 5D Mk3, but even then not at all sensitivity settings. RAW, converted to TIFF, signal-to-noise ratio analysis. The K1 again performs well, indicating that, apart from at the very high sensitivity settings, it produces images that are relatively free of noise. We liked. One of the most attractive things about the K1 is that it offers a rugged build and a full-frame sensor at a relatively affordable price. It's not cheap, but it compares favorably with the likes of the Nikon D810, Canon 5D Mk3 and Sony Alpha 7R II. And, in addition to the recently enlarged selection of current full-frame Pentax lenses, any Pentax K-mount optic produced since 1975 is compatible. That's not to say they'll necessarily produce spectacular results, but they can be used. The camera is also very well shaped, so it's comfortable to hold for long periods of time. Pentax's pixel shift technology is clever, and it's great that the company has managed to produce a mode that can be used when the camera is handheld, although the impact is subtle.
We disliked. It won't be an issue for everyone, but the K1's menu system looks very old-fashioned, and some of the icons on the control panel are difficult to interpret. The top two sensitivity settings produce the type of results we'd expect to see from expansion settings. They're not for everyday use. It's also disappointing that autofocus isn't a bit faster. It makes shooting moving subjects a frustrating experience.
Final verdict. Recognizing that attention is shifting towards mirrorless cameras, and that it's late in bringing out a full-frame SLR, Pentax has introduced the K1 at an attractive price. Its launch price is less than the current street price of cameras such as the Canon 5D Mk3 and Nikon D810. It's less of an all-rounder than the 5D Mk3, but the K1 makes an excellent camera for landscape, still life, and portrait photography, or any genre that doesn't require fast autofocus and which benefits from a high pixel count for detail resolution. The K1 also offers a few novel features, including the ability to record trail-free shots of the night sky.